Hello, everybody, and welcome wherever you might be into Christmas week. Can you believe that? No better present than the NBL. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. So much to get into. Christmas wish list, plenty of news, yes or no, and the biggest Santa's watching, funnily enough, this week that you'll ever see. Leonard Copeland is back. You a good man? Missed you last week.
Silver bell.
Oh, no.
Oh. I knew you don't like that.
Jeez, I tell you what, you'd work. 2 hours you'd been practicing that. I can't believe you actually rolled with
my
that.
throat, bro. It messed me
You
up.
good? Your eyes good, your throat's better.
I'm good, brother. Happy to be
Perfect.
back.
Liam Santa Maria, hello to you.
Hello to you, man. I think you hit that note.
No, I got to laugh. I just wanted to get a laugh. You know?
Hey, listen, before we go any further,
Yes, Santa.
it is Christmas week, right?
Yes, it is.
So you know the tradition on
Yeah.
NBL Overtime. So,
Yes.
You know it?
I mean, it's time for me to just
Hey.
hold on,
Yeah, look at this.
get my
there we
Santa
go.
on,
Yeah.
and I hand out some gifts to you fellas.
Give me something.
Wow.
Here we go, Copes. These
This
are
is the
for
best
you.
Christmas of all time because we don't, here in NBL Overtime, we don't give any gifts out to Liam.
No.
Santa just dishes them our way.
Yeah, so these are for
the
you.
perfect win.
These are for you, Copes.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
These?
both of those are for you.
What do
There
you
you
mean?
go.
Yep,
What
they are
about
for
this?
you. Open them up.
Oh.
No. They're sort of for me and Sauce.
Hey!
Oh,
I like
dog,
it.
I love it.
Enjoy.
Look at that, fantastic.
Give me a
Cam,
present,
these are
Santa?
for you.
Uh-oh.
This is for you, man. This is for your next junket.
My next junket,
Yeah.
funnily enough, it's only about 4 weeks away. All right, let's have a look.
We know you like to travel.
I do like
and get
to travel.
around at
you get-
short notice.
You once got me some
and I want to make
pajamas.
sure that you're rested along
man,
the
this
way.
is-
Oh, lovely.
You know, because I'm an economy guy.
Yes, I do.
So I'm down the back and I need something. That's perfect. Thank you, Santa.
You're welcome.
You're on fire as always. You've lost a little weight since a couple of years ago when you rolled into 600 kgs, but it's good. Little Christmas wish list later, of course, in the show as well.
Cool.
But to be honest, some of us got a little Christmas present on throwdown night because we got to see our mate, Corey Williams, in the house. Homicide rolled on in and it was cool as all get out. You and I got to sit down and have a chat to him. I was lucky enough to watch the whole second half with him. I'll tell you this, he has not lost his energy and that smile
No,
and
it
his
was
ideas
fantastic.
around basketball was brilliant. It was a very fun night. There with Nerily having a great chat. It was cool as all get out there, Liam.
Yeah, it was really cool. Shout out to him because we know he watches, and there's the OG Overtime group. It was so good to see him there. You know, you talk about Christmas and what Christmas is all about, spending time with friends and family, checking in on people, making sure everybody's going okay. So to see him out and about, his spirits high, there's a long journey ahead for sure. But, you know, that's where he's at. He's most comfortable out the basketball arena amongst the people. So big love, big fella, and Merry Christmas, and can't wait to see you again soon.
His positivity was the one that hit me. I'm sitting there on the couch, and I see his face, and he's laughing, and he's talking to everyone, and he's taking photos, and that's Corey Williams for you.
You know what he's doing? Watching a great deal of NBL, which is no surprise. But I sat with him the whole second half. He was dishing stuff out, and he's got opinions, as we know he does. And he's like, man, did you see this? I'm like, nah, I didn't see that. And he goes, you see this? I said, I didn't see that either. But so he's clearly watching more than me. But it was cool, so cool to see him, man. And we shout out to him and looking forward to catching up with him very, very soon.
We've got about 20 seconds in our conversation. He's like, Liam, these coaches got to play those next stars.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said, man, get out there and tell the people.
What are we doing? He does his money everywhere, man. Let's get into it. Melbourne. We watched them. We were there. That game
Melbourne.
we were
Can
at.
we start with Melbourne?
We're going to start with them and who is their contender. Because we all agree they're number one right now in the league.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy peasy.
I'll start with you then. Who is it? Who's the number one challenger?
I think Tasmania.
Wow.
What do you think?
No, I'm Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah, Tassie went 0-2 over the course of that last weekend, but I don't think there's much to worry about with regards to Tasmania.
Okay.
Right.
That's a tough trip. Now, no one wants to talk schedule in this day and age, but that's a tough trip. In Perth, and then travel back. That team hadn't played yet. And also, Milton Doyle is still just getting wound back up. Meanwhile, Jordan Crawford's playing at a high level.
Yep.
Jack McVeigh's been a little up and down in recent weeks, but we've seen Will Magnay ramping himself up
Very
to
good.
a high
Yep.
level.
Yep.
I wouldn't sweat the individual wins and losses right now with Tassie because they're going to be in the cut and thrust of the postseason. And they've shown over their first couple of years of existence that they play a style that does well in the postseason, right? All the way to the grand final in year one, and were good in the postseason last year. Just weren't able to get their way through New Zealand in the end. But I think the way they're built, the way they play, they're the primary contenders for Melbourne this year.
Sure. I don't disagree with you, but I think Sydney have a better chance of winning a championship this year against Melbourne United. And there's some things need to happen first, though. Kwat Noy needs to come back and be Kwat Noy, knocking down the threes, stretching the floor. All right? Bolden, as we know, can shoot it from outside. So imagine those guys at your 4 or 5. All right? That stretches the floor. That pushes Joe Luau-Lachul outside or Travers outside to guard the three-point line, and Galloway and Adams getting to the rack. They get to the rack better than anybody I've seen in this league. I don't care who's guarding them. They're good enough to play with that ball and get where they need to go. Now you got DJ Hogue, you can slide him down to the 3, and who has to guard him at the 3? Chris Goldie. You can't guard him on that box. Put him on the box. I try a 4 out, 1 in, or something similar. All right. But also, they got to work on their defense. They got to tighten their defense, which they did this week. Mm-hmm. They looked a lot better on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. So if you get that group back together, they're going to look a lot better.
So you're talking from a perspective about you think they're the best matchup for Melbourne United. Mm-hmm. You think the best team outside of Melbourne United is Tassie, right? So we're two separate ways to look at it. Mm-hmm. I was surprised on Sunday because I'm not worried about Tassie. But keeping in mind that they had Perth on the back heels for most of that 4 quarters as well. And a little bit of credit to Perth, which we'll touch on a little later on in the show. But I was surprised. Sydney in a situation where they had to take criticism all week, you know, and from the top. Not that Andrew Bogut was publicly massively criticising them, but he did own the fact that they need to get better in certain aspects.
And when he speaks, they're going to listen.
Absolutely. So to Sydney, kudos, because they rolled into a tough arena to play. Tassie, you can find an excuse. That Milton Doyle one is absolutely. Something that I will say about the two teams, those two teams, I think their ceiling is higher than Perth's. So I think come playoff time, we're going to see the best of those two teams into January and warming up to it. I think their ceiling is higher than Perth's right now.
Well, so let's talk about Perth for a little bit because they're worth mentioning.
Absolutely they are.
Because they're that other team.
Yes.
I reckon. Now, I would love to have had Brisbane in this conversation, but...
No, hesitant. Look, seriously, and all due respect to Brisbane, I like going into next year. We're talking top team.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So come on, mate. Please.
All right.
Go.
I'll take that.
That's fair, coach, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah, we're talking challenges to Melbourne.
You've let me down. But Perth are that other group.
They are, absolutely.
And they're that other group because of one man. Bryce Cotton.
Yep.
Now, John really, I joke, but he's done a terrific job of working this season out and bringing this group back together. But, Bryce, you want to talk about upside and ceiling? We've all seen Bryce Cotton when he is tapping into his tremendous upside.
Yep.
And what we've seen when he does that is he can beat any team in the league.
Sure.
And I say he, not they. Because if they're going to beat these teams come the postseason, it's because Bryce Cotton's putting up 30, 35, maybe hitting that 40 number again. But he can do it. And we've seen him do it.
Yeah.
He has periods of time where he's a superhero in this league.
Yeah.
That's agree. I couldn't agree anymore.
Yeah.
But he's doing it right now.
Right.
He's doing it right now.
And they've won 7 of their last 8 games.
Absolutely they have. And we're going to get a real good idea of it come Saturday night, open air in Melbourne against Melbourne United, and we'll see how we go.
So what if he keeps doing this?
Well, if he keeps doing it, he may well be the greatest import we've ever seen, and that conversation's already on. But can he keep doing it? He needs, Ty Webster has to have a huge run into the playoffs. We need to see more from Keanu Pinder. 100. Now, I think that Doolittle's been really good. Usher's been better, but probably not the player they all thought. So what you're saying is, you are 100% correct. But boy, oh boy, this is a big 9-week stretch against 3 very good teams in the NBL. Depth and competitive nature has probably never been higher. And we're asking Bryce Cotton to do it every single night to win a championship. He needs help.
You're going to bet against Bryce Cotton?
I'm not going to bet against Bryce Cotton.
It sounds a little...
I'm not betting against Bryce Cotton, but we think we have to be legitimate about this. This is a guy who continually does this, right? And puts his team in the frame. But they can't win a championship unless he gets a little bit of help.
But JR's putting him in and everyone else in all the right spots to facilitate him doing that on a game-to-game basis.
Yeah. But listen, Illawarra found the way to shut Cotton down.
They got belted 10 days ago.
They double Cotton, and I've been saying this for years and years. Make somebody else beat you. Cam's right. Cotton's going to need some help if he thinks he's going to win a championship. He's very good. He's the best import right now we can see.
No doubt.
But if coaches are smart, then they follow what Illawarra did, and when Cotton comes off those screens, I'm doubling him and make him swing the ball.
And the perfect example of that, there was no Ty Webster. He was out sick. So Ty Webster wasn't there, so the double team makes it a little bit different.
Aware of
right?
that.
Yeah.
So, but there is truth. Ty Webster, like you got 99% of it sits on Bryce Cotton's shoulders because he is the superstar that he is and has been for a long time and will continue to be. But somebody at some point, and it may just be one in every single game, but players are going to have to stand up in the biggest elimination games or in the biggest do-or-die games and deliver moments.
Like this one.
Yeah. He was like, this is incredible late. The whole game was incredible, but Matt,
Here it is. Bang.
there we go.
He was
Took a little while to get there.
He was very good.
He was
He
very
was
good.
very
He was
good.
very poised. He was exactly what they need him to be. Now, it's not just Ty Webster. Ty Webster was good. And, these are the moments where they run, they get the ball out of Bryce Cotton, his hands, and then you guys are going to make good decisions. Sometimes shoot it. Sometimes do exactly what he just did there and kick the ball right back to him. But it's not just Ty Webster, right? I mean, it's Doolittle.
Yeah.
It's Usher. It's Alexander Sarr. It's Bender. And Jesse Wagstaff's going to hit big shots in big moments. So I like the fact that they are now playing exactly the way, the style, the approach that they need to do to give themselves a chance. And as a result,
100%.
because they've got that guy with the cape on, they've got that chance.
There's no arguments being them in the top 4 teams in the league. Not one at all. I just think they're going to need a little helping hand. And to be fair, the crew, they've put together, and John Riley's doing a really good job of making sure they get that opportunity. Absolutely getting that opportunity. I don't want to waste all my bullets on one particular player because the Perth Wildcats Christmas wish list is in my back pocket, so we'll get to that a little bit later.
Okay.
Well, who do you trust more? Fourth quarter, right? Fourth quarter of a big game. You got Milton Doyle, you got Crawford on one particular team. You got the Sydney Kings and how they go about it, led by Jalen Adams and Galloway and Hogue. And in Perth, you've got Bryce Cotton, who 99% of the guys.
That's a hard question.
Who do you
Easy
trust
question.
more? Okay. Just Cotton for you, is it?
No, I trust Tasmania.
Okay.
I trust Tasmania and their ability
Because
to
of their
execute.
system or because of their players?
Both.
Okay.
The system, the unselfishness,
The system is very
the
good.
ball movement, the fact that they're going to continue to run plays. Some teams stop running plays in the fourth quarter in the modern game, and I don't get it. They just say, all right, we'll put the ball in one guy's hands and we'll ride him to victory. And that'll work some of the time, but not as often as it will is if you set yourselves up to consistently execute in the fourth quarter like you've executed all game long. And Tassie do that.
All this conversation to me has suggested how important finishing second is. Like, we've touched on this before with the new playoff and the implications and first and second getting that first weekend off. I understand if a 5v6 is interesting. Probably not from a championship perspective. I don't think, and I've said this on this show before, I don't think we'll ever see a team win from the play-in game if you finish 5th or 6th on the road. But two of these teams are going to finish 3rd and 4th. And they're going to play straight up. We're going to kickstart the playoffs. While the other two teams, Melbourne probably and someone else, going to be sitting at home smoking a cigar. Now, if it's Scott Roth and his crew, it will be an actual cigar. If it's the other teams, may not be as much. But you want to finish first or second. It will give you such an advantage.
You're
come
right.
Playoff time.
You're right. Now, Melbourne's finishing first.
Yeah.
So it's that race for second that's going to be fun to watch.
Sometimes, though, when you sit at home and you're waiting on other teams, that 3rd and 4th team have played that playoff game and they're ready to go. And it takes you some time to get going in 1st and 2nd. So don't count 3rd and 4th out either.
Yeah, I don't count 3rd and 4th out. I count 5th and 6th out.
Okay.
All right, quick break. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. Christmas wish list not too far away, but some breaking news. Well, Olgun's going to tell us about it next right here on NBL Overtime.
You know, I think there's definitely frustration. Personally, I'm sure it's going throughout the group. The last 2 games aren't who we want to be, and I just don't think we put the best effort that we could possibly put out there. And so, obviously, there's some stuff that we got to really work on, and some looking in the mirror that we really got to do in order to try to turn this thing around. And we got some games coming up now, and some opportunities to, like I said, to try to right the ship. And so, definitely frustrated though.
Welcome back to NBL Overtime. Hard to sugarcoat it. Really tough weekend for Phoenix. A throwdown last and then down in Traralgon, where last year was one of the games of the season. This year, well, it was over pretty early. And our man Source spoke from the heart. Mike Kelly was there, as well as I bring in Olgun Uluc, the newsbreaker, ESPN's own. Hello to you.
Hello. I'm not going to sing.
Okay, good. You know what?
No, you were great, though.
I speak for all of us, but we appreciate that.
Hold on, though. He may not sing, but it's your turn now.
Oh,
Yes.
Santa.
So put that on.
Santa's always
Merry
watching.
Christmas to you, man.
Thank you, sir. Do
Wow.
I open this now?
Yes, of course.
Oh,
yeah,
my bad.
Well, you know, because we know you've always got work to do.
Yeah.
And you've got stories to break. And you've got notes to take, and we know you love your little black.
That is so
I like it.
special, isn't it? The little black book.
Yeah.
It's a little notebook. I do a column called Olgun's Notebook. It drops every Wednesday. Check it out. Thank you so much.
Good stuff. Enjoy
right
it.
there.
All the next stars' information and stats already in there as well, so that's good news. Hey, before we get into breaking news and how it's all playing around the league, let's have a look, because our man wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. He spoke from the heart, and he wasn't overly happy with, well, the way that he's going about it. So he got a little criticism off Twitter. There you go. Complaining too much is what NBL Pocket Podcast was throwing towards him. He stood up and he said, I agree with you.
Yeah.
He's been very honest and transparent on his show, and likewise on social media. He speaks about it being one-dimensional on his end. You know, he's got more to his game than just trying to draw fouls. He's, you know, the usual way of which he's going about it. So it's a new world, Coach. Probably something you didn't have to contend with as a player in the social media sort of talk, but it's also a way for players of all codes, and in this case the NBL, to then push forward their honest thoughts. So there you go, our man Source putting his hand up after a fairly disappointing weekend for him and the team. And it doesn't help that Mitch Creek isn't there as he wasn't on Saturday night. What can you tell us about Mitch Creek and that knee injury?
Yeah, so Mitch Creek has some bone bruising and some swelling in that knee. You can see, again, another innocuous sort of injury, but he's out for a minimum of 10 days. And so we expect him to miss the next game and then that Christmas Day game. And then there's some hope that he could play on that December 30 game against Brisbane, but I'd say that's probably in doubt as well. And so they're going to be without him for probably the next 3 games. And based on the results over the last 2 games, 2 straight 28-point losses, it's not great for this team.
He's the best player on the team, we all agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were ordinary on Saturday night without him. This is a big blow for a team that struggled. They've got a new import in, of course. They've just had to let Will Cummings go. They lost Craig Moller due to injury. This thing was pretty ugly early, and it just gets uglier, Liam, when you lose your best player on the back of it.
Yeah, and look, let's start with the group as a whole, because throughout most of this game against Melbourne, Creaky was in the lineup. So they had what they needed to have. Yeah, Abdul Nader wasn't suited up, so they were still coming off the Moller and the Will Cummings absences. But man, I was really unimpressed with the way they went about playing this game. Melbourne just outplayed them in every way.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't an issue of playing hard enough or with enough energy and the like. They just weren't good enough. Sometimes it's not about that. It's just how well do you play.
Right.
And they weren't collectively at the level. So in a big game, coming off what was a really good win in Sydney, I thought that was a huge letdown. Then they don't have Creaky and they lay an egg in Traralgon against Illawarra. So to wrap up what was an horrendous weekend, I'll be surprised if they win any of those games without Creaky.
Who have they got? Actually, it doesn't matter. I agree with you. Hey, look.
Now, it's not to say they won't do it.
Right.
It's just that I think they go into every one of those as the underdog, and now they're going to really need to have
But
guys
we
step
got to
up.
call some names. Brown has to pick up his game. He has to play better. He has to score more. He has to pick his game up. I think Ben Eric can help offensively because he's a very good shooter from the outside. Nader coming in can help out a lot. Now, if you go in there thinking you're going to lose, you're probably going to lose. Yes, they lose Creaky, but Melbourne United have lost big-time players. You got to get together, come together as a team, as a whole. Saul said it. He's got to stop complaining and just go hard and give it your best shot.
They don't have enough depth.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
But it
Talk about
doesn't
this at
feel
the
like
start of the year. I told my man, I said I love the top 4. Mm-hmm. The imports and Creaky.
Yep.
Now, they wanted to bring in some toughness, so a guy like Matt Kenyon and Craig Moller kind of fit that mould and whatnot. But, man, if it was always going to be the case, if you lose one of those guys, I'm not sure if the depth is quite there. And right now they've got 2 of those guys out. Now, the new import's in, still getting himself ramped up. But I'm looking at some of those other guys, like the Gorjok Gacks and... certainly Matt Kenyon, as you say, Ben Air, Reece Vague.
Brown has to pick it up.
I mean, Brown, Sauce, they've got to be star-level players because that's what they're here to do. But if you want to answer that depth question, you need role players to step up and play big.
I put Tarangi in that group as well.
Yep.
And the thing that concerns me is their next 5 games. It's not just the 3 games without Mitch Creek, it's their next 5 games. They're all on the road. And I'm not sure that they go into any of those 5 games. You can see it on screen. I'm not sure they go into any of these games as the favourite to win it. So they've got 5 games on the road coming up. They're 8-8 right now. They took care of some of their home games. That loss to Adelaide in Adelaide was a big one, and that's why you have to pocket all of those wins. But this isn't a great. It's not a great stretch coming up for this team.
There's a possibility they could lose all 5 of those.
Do they have a game winner outside of Mitch Creek? Do they have a guy who can actually stand up and win you a game?
Yes.
Who is it?
Alan Williams.
Okay. Well, this is his chance. This is absolutely his chance. And when you have a guy like Mitch Creek on your team and you defer to him at different points, that probably sometimes gets lost a little bit. This is his chance. Because I'm not 100% certain they do. They've got very good players. There's a difference between having very good players who are there and helping your team be better and win games, but actually stand up and tear a game apart.
And he has to be smarter. He has to stay out of foul.
He has to stay on the court.
Yeah, but this is what we've been talking about with, like, he said he was born for double doubles, right? And he didn't have a great weekend, but what did he have? 12 and 16, and he had 2 big double doubles.
Yeah.
But what he needs 25 and 15.
That's right.
Yeah, he does.
That's right.
And he's capable of it.
Yeah, he is.
You know what really is frustrating? That win in Sydney was remarkable, right? We spoke about this 1 week ago. I sat here and said it may be the best win in their short club, right up there, right? Okay. And then they lay an egg. We were in the stadium Thursday night. That game was done within 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And never once did you think, you know what? Hang on, they could fight their way out of this. If they get hot, no, they got it back to 13 in the 4th quarter, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter. This game's done. Chris Golding gets a 4-point play and it's all over. I don't know if this is true, but right now Melbourne United have a huge mental edge over Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. And it's been going for a little while. And it feels, you walk into the arena and it feels that way.
Yeah.
And that's what it looked like on Thursday night. And that's a disappointing thing coming off that monstrous win. Kudos Bank Arena, silencing 13,000 Sydney Kings fans, and they laid that. Saturday night, it's pretty poor, but Mitch Creek can find an excuse. They're going to find a way around it, but Thursday night was by far the most disappointing.
The thing is, though, in this league, things can flip really quickly.
Yeah.
A week ago, we were
Agreed.
Howard led the show.
Yeah, they did.
Of the win in Sydney.
Yeah.
Now they're in this big old hole, and you're laying the boots in. Let's see what happens.
Let's go. Who have they got? Who have they got Friday night?
Is it Cairns?
They looked up
Cairns.
Cairns. They've got to go to Cairns, and then, of course, the Tassie on Christmas Day, which I believe is sold out. So the Tasmanians are going to go nuts.
Every game at Tassie's sold out.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the Brisbane Bullets. What's going on in Brisbane?
So I've been told that DJ Mitchell is out for the rest of the season.
Whoa.
He will miss the remainder of this NBL season with a hip injury. That is obviously a tough blow for them. They've had Josh Bannon out for stretches. He's been dealing with his hip injury for a few games now. It's got to a point where he'll miss the remainder of the season. So big out for them. Really, really good shooter in this league. I'm told the Brisbane Bullets will look at the import market. They're one of those unique teams that was more than likely marqueeing 2 guys, Nathan Sobey and Aaron Baines. They're going to look at potentially maybe taking one of those guys off the marquee list, or I guess how they assess that guy, and then looking at the import market. And so they're looking at some names right now. In the meantime, they'll elevate Matt Johns to a roster spot, but sort of watch this space with the Brisbane Bullets.
What type of position are we looking towards?
I mean, they want to bring something in that can fill that 4th spot in stretches, but it wouldn't surprise me if they're looking at more of like a 3-4.
Any of the names familiar to the NBL?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's all I got for you guys.
Okay, so
Let's talk about Brisbane for a second.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Of course.
We don't need to unpack.
Brisbane have talent, okay? And we know this. By some of the games they play well.
Yeah.
Now, I looked at their stats, and they played 11 guys against Cairns, okay? They were disappointing earlier. It's their defense, to me. Unless they commit and play better defense, they're going to struggle. Now, my friend D-Mac did an interview at halftime saying if we get better shots, our defense will come around. I understand what he's saying because you put yourself in harm's way when Sobey drives the ball to the basket, falls down, and then it's 5-on-4 getting back. And people talk about that, right? I think, honestly, they got to find a way to get Sobey going early. Back doors. It didn't have to be threes. Back doors. Get him going so he feels comfortable, so he's not taking those wild shots to put them in that bad position defensively. They can play. We know they can play. Liam's been on the island the whole year. He's trying to get off. We know.
No, he really is.
We know they can play. I just think their defense right now, they're struggling defensively. And Sobe's shooting 23% from the three-point line, but he knocks down one or two. He's making 1.5 per game, and he's taking 7 per game. That's not good enough.
So with that in mind, these guys that they're looking at in the import market, who maybe have been involved in the league previously, are we looking at a defensive stopper or a guy who can put points on the board?
Last game, Shannon Scott and Chris Smith combined for, 2 points, 2 assists. It's not going to get it done. Now, they obviously need more from those guys, but they need a way to put points on the board. They're not a great shooting team. At least they haven't shown to be. They have shooting pieces. Unfortunately, DJ Mitchell, one of their best shooters, is out for the remainder of the season. But it feels like they want to add some more offensive firepower to what this team does.
If they get an import and they have to move either Baines or Sobey out of the marquee spot, it's going to cost a lot in their salary cap calculations and then going into the luxury tax.
They are in an okay spot financially where it makes some financial sense to go ahead with this move, assuming they get it done. There's a chance they don't get it done. But they're pretty comfortable with where they are financially, that they can do this move and not be crazily over the tax. This won't set them back too much.
It might save their season, Liam. Could save you as well.
Well, you're right. It might save Liam. Because it's interesting, right? Because we get to the point of the year, I don't think, regardless of who they bring in, they can't win the championship, right? So you've got to balance that up with financial. But if they're in a good financial position, then it obviously helps a little bit. Does any of the rumoured players have an NBL championship ring?
You know I'm going to plead the fifth here.
That's
I'm not going to give you guys an opportunity just to continually whittle down the name. And I didn't confirm nor deny whether this player is known to the NBL, and so I'm going to leave you guys guessing this entire time.
Hey, Justin Tatum, let's talk about him, because there is no doubt they are better. They are better. They're more energised. We spoke about this last week. And they rolled down to Gippsland in Victoria on Saturday, and they were really good against a Southeast Melbourne Phoenix outlet, an outfit that have their issues. Are they considering signing the dotted line, or him signing on the dotted line? Is that a conversation right now?
We're in a position right now where he will be their head coach for the remainder of this season.
Good.
I'm told that they will wait until the end of the season before they make any long-term decisions.
Also good.
Now, that is obvious that for a team that has been through this before, they gave Jacob Jacobus an extension when it perhaps wasn't warranted. And so I think they're willing to sit back and let things play out before they rush to any sort of decisions and judgments. But they like what Justin Tatum's all about. They like what he's done. But I don't expect any signatures to be signed on any dotted lines before this season ends.
Smart move. Everyone agree with that?
Yes, on both counts.
Yeah.
It's smart now to say, make it official and put the word out there that he's going to be the coach the rest of the season. But it's also smart to say, let's wait till the end of the year. You know, there's no rush. I mean, unless they get a sense that someone's going to come in and snap Justin Tatum up, and they get to a point where they, really want to make sure they've got him, well, that's different. But in the meantime, if you don't have that feeling, I say that's the way to approach it.
I was just going to say that. Now, he's 3-4. He's 3-1 in the last 4 games. Could have been 4-0 very easily. He continues to go like this. They respect him. They like him. They listen to him, okay? Whatever he's doing is working. They're playing much better basketball. If he continues to win and these other teams fall down, New Zealand looking for a coach, surely you don't let New Zealand
is New Zealand looking for a coach?
I know. I'm just saying. I'm hearing.
Hold on. Did you just
say
hearing?
Bodie could be looking around himself.
Okay.
Oh, whereabouts? Where
I don't know. I'm not breaking any news. I'm just hearing.
Hey, give him the notebook.
I'm not. He's looking at me. He wants to smack me upside the head over here. I'm just saying what I've heard now.
There are coaches off contract.
That's right. That's what I meant to say. This is off contract.
I'm here to save you.
I think we'll give a shout out here because
Santa Claus.
You know what? Coaching is simple. You roll in, you just make your best team and your best players play their best basketball, which is something we hadn't seen a great deal from Tyler Harvey lately, right?
Wow.
But whatever the case is,
did you write that down?
What did you say? Make players play good?
This is a man we have a fair bit of conversation about. Of course, all NBL, all league in his first year when they went all the way to a semi-final series, and he hasn't quite continually been able to play this type of basketball. But there is no doubt he is one of these players, one of a couple, Liam, who are certainly enjoying the new coach.
This Illawarra team, how they're playing right now, and Tyler Harvey, a key part of that, is the squad we all got a little bit excited about heading into pre-season. That Matt Campbell had put together, and that ownership group working hand in hand, because there's a lot of talent on that team. And he's an all-NBL level performer when he's playing at this type of level. Yeah. We've seen it before. He was top 3 in MVP voting. So when he's playing like this, Sam Froling's playing like this, Gary Clark is playing like he's playing, now you've got 3 of those 4 key pieces playing at a high level, and as a result, you're getting wins. If they really ramp Justin Robinson up as well, now you're cooking with real gas. And I also like the fact that he's tapping into some of the youth as well, particularly AJ Johnson. Of course, I'm happy to see him out there on the floor, but they're playing a style now where they're getting up and down, they're energetic, they're up and about, and they're tough to beat.
Just on that, AJ Johnson's playing good basketball, one, because he's contributing to the way they play their basketball, but the brand of which Tatum wants them to play, which is up and down and with fun and excitement, fits your man. Exactly how he plays his best ball.
Let's see more of it.
Okay. I know you've been making calls, man.
Let's see a little more of it.
Hey, New Zealand, injuries have slowed them to kickstart the year, in particular to 2 of their main players. How do we sit here with the injuries to Cheatham and to Will McDowell-White?
So Cheatham was active for the last game. He suited up, he went through warm-ups, he went through a live practice the day before. That was his first live practice since that injury. So I expect him to get some minutes in their next game. Right? He didn't play much. He didn't play at all in that game against Cairns. They absolutely eviscerated the Cairns Taipans, so I guess he didn't really need to. But I imagine he gets some minutes in their next game. And then...
Can I just ask you a question? Why suit him up if he's not going to play?
I mean, it gives him an opportunity.
The guy.
So Derek Rucker mentioned that, just the idea of him being there, his presence, and his ability as a leader is something that's important for that team. It gives him an opportunity to warm up as well, and basically just get in the flow of things. It allows him to travel with the team. All these things matter. I imagine William McDowell-White suits up for next game. I don't know whether he plays. We'll see. But he is also very clearly on the track to be back relatively soon. And so give it the next few games, and there'll be some minutes restrictions for both guys when they slowly start to come back. But over the next few games, I expect the New Zealand Breakers to be as close to full health as they have been for the entire season, which is a scary thought, because the first episode of this show, I said that I think they have among the highest ceilings of any team. If they can reach that, look out.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, next star. No, he kicked me under the table. Next star. Kiwi, next star guy. Go, bring it in. Come on, man.
He should have kicked you. He's
been
very good.
He was
just quietly. This is what we've got from Cam Luke.
He's been very good, though. You got to give it to him. This kid, he's not a kid. He's not a kid. No, he's a grown man out there on the floor. The way he shoots the ball, the way he attacks the rim, he's big. He's got size.
Yep.
I love the way he shoots. He's special.
He may not be a kid. He's draft eligible, though. So keep that in mind if you're watching the show and you're involved with one of these franchises, because he can really come out and play. Yeah. And we saw that. And I love the way he put him in the starting lineup. He said, you're healthy. You've got some form going now. Let's rock and roll. And look, get him in your super coach team. Make sure you're locked, because I'm telling you, the rest of the way here, Roops Vicious is going to put up some numbers.
I like your style. Quickly, you broke at ESPN.com this morning about Abu Dhabi, the Boomers, the USA and the Serbians going to go at it prior to the Olympics.
Yeah, so those are the talks happening right now. They're in the advanced stages. I fully expect the Boomers to end up going on this trip. I'm told the Boomers will go to Abu Dhabi. They will play Team USA. They will play Serbia. That is a pre-Olympic trip. They'll then go to Europe, play some more games there ahead of Paris 2024, which tips off toward the end of July.
Perfectly done. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Loss.
Wherever you might be, hashtag NBL Overtime. We'll be back with plenty more next.
Coaching is simple.
Welcome back to NBL Overtime. A split millisecond late, which would have ended and completed one of the great comebacks in NBL history. Norton knew it, Sophie was hoping, the fans were going crazy, but in the end, Cairns Taipans roll in to Brisbane and get the job done. They settled for a 22-point lead at one point, Copes, and in the end, they were able to hold on. And the Taipans, and they go at it and beat the Bullets. It was a interesting game.
You got to give them credit for the fight back. It shows they have heart. They're in it. We want to win this game. My problem is you can't be down by that many at home to Cairns. Cairns are a good team, up and down, but It's your house. You got to take control straight away. And they just didn't look like they were in control of that first half.
No, it was disappointing to dig such a hole. And they've been so up and down, right? Like, get up big and then let teams come back. That was the issue previously. And then it was the other way around here. And great comeback, like you say, sparked by the big fella. And they just fell a fraction short. And as you say, Nordo knew at the moment it left his hands. So that was a bit of a shame. Sobes actually, I like the fact that he gave it up.
Yep.
But at that point, it was too late.
Yeah.
Like, once you cross halfway, you look up, there's 3 seconds on the clock, and you attack the rim. Now you got to try to finish. But, man, he was very good over the course of that game. We've seen some situations like this when he gets on a real heater. The 14 fourth quarter points were big, 24 in total, and they would not have even been in it if it wasn't for that terrific performance.
He got going, and then they took him out for a second. I didn't understand that sub because I think he was upset about it as well. But he surely got going. I just think they need to get him going earlier because sometimes, like when he played the Melbourne United, he struggled early. Get him the ball, let him do his thing, get him going so he feels a part of it. Once he feels a part of it, he's playing defense, he's doing all the other things.
How do you do it then? Like, how would you do that? Because I understand exactly what you're saying, but how do you do it? Because there's an argument to say they are getting him involved. He gets early shots. The
wrong shots.
Well, there you go. So he needs
Back
better
doors.
shots.
You got to have some plays that are specific, like you run 22.
That's right. To get me, that's exactly right. A back door to get me going, get me a layup, or get fouled, you go to the free throw line. Not just come down and jack threes, because that's what he's doing now. And he's 23% from the field on the three-point line, which isn't helping him. And then when he does take it to the hole, he's trying to go 1-on-2 or 1-on-3, falls down on the ground, other guys are running out. So I just think you got to run some plays for him.
Yeah.
You got to give him some early back doors or throw him a lob.
Throw him a lob.
Throw him an alley-oop. He can get up and go get it.
Now, it's very easy for us to sit here at the desk and say throw a lob, right? But it would make sense if he's their best player to have a few plays in the playbook that are for him.
Yes.
And they're not just isolation plays, throw it to him, we'll space out, let's see what you can create. There's some structure in place to get him on the rim or to the free throw line or above the rim to get him going.
Yeah.
They're a house money team, right? They play best when they're playing with house money, and that's a perfect example. We've seen this early in the year when the expectation was there and they had games in their hands. Sydney, a perfect example of it. They go into their shell. I'm not certain if it's the shots they get or work towards or whatever it might be. Great example on the weekend. It's like, cool, let's just throw caution to the wind. This game's done. They're a team that can get up and down. Now, you can't necessarily have a great deal of success over the course of a season like that, but you can learn from it going forward. I do have a very good question that I came up with in a moment, but secondly, what are you going to say?
I've got lots to say.
Go on.
Well,
Are you off the island?
No, I'm on the island.
Okay.
I'm on the island. Olgun was just talking about them bringing someone in. Now, he wouldn't go the distance, right? And so give us a name or anything like that. It's sounding to me like tomorrow. Like we're going to find out tomorrow what's going on here from Brisbane.
Offensively or defensively? What are you looking at?
I don't know, but as he was saying, like they definitely need some help, and it sounds like it's very, very imminent. We're going to get word from that team.
What do you do in that situation? Do you just roll him straight in? Like, this is what happens in the NBL. And I get it why. You bring a player in, they come off the bench, you try and get them, feel a bit more comfortable. They've got to bring a guy in who can come straight in and straight away start and go from there. Now, that's not normally the way of which NBL clubs do it, but if they can find that guy somewhere around the world who might have played in the NBL before, I don't know if that's true or not, but it would help them.
No, my mind's ticking, right? Like, and let's throw some names out because we like to do that, yeah? Like Justin Schull, let's think about who he has worked with. Right? Because that's one. You look at his roster right now.
Sure.
You got guys he worked with in the Australian junior program with Rocco Zakasti, Josh Bannon, these type of guys.
Rocco was outstanding on.
You got guys he worked with at Melbourne United that he pulled in, like a guy like Sam McDaniel.
Yep.
So, like a Casey Prather?
Is he playing?
I don't know. Just thinking about guys that he's had there. That feels like he was saying a 3-4.
Yeah. What you got to be careful of.
He's a 2-3.
You bring in a guy like that, he's going to dominate that ball, though.
Casey Prather?
Yeah. They're going to go to him.
No, he's a guy who fitted very nicely next to Chris Golding when they won a championship. So he has got the ability.
You want him to bring in some talent or not?
I want him to bring in some talent, but here's the thing: players have egos. Okay, if you bring in a superstar and he's taking 20 shots a game, is Sobey going to be happy?
You know who else is around?
Well, just before you go, like, I understand your point, but they need to bring a superstar in to make this team better.
Do they superstar?
Well, yeah. Well,
You know who else is around? Michael Frazier.
Yep.
Does he move the needle for you?
I think he's a nice player, but like, is Michael Frazier? Is he going to help? Where's he going to move him to? This is what I'm saying.
You guys haven't answered that question. Do they look for an offensive player or a defensive player?
The question is, when they're balancing up the finances, of which they would have to do and have to move either Sobey or Baines, and it's going to cost them money, but as Olgun said, there's no use just doing it to finish in the same position. You bring a player in who's going to help you get better and have a crack to try and get to the top 4.
They are trying to win a championship in the style that Tassie got to the grand final in. Of saying, we're not like as loaded with high-level talent as some of you other teams that have more money to spend. But we're going to build something here. And they are building something.
Yeah.
No matter what.
I agree.
Much better.
They've been much better. And so going into next year under Justin Shula, he's starting to put in place what he's about. But can they actually make something of this year while it's
Would
still
Shula be happy with making the playoffs? That sounds like a stupid question. But every coach wants to win a championship. But because they were so bad,
be a big ticket.
Yeah, because they were so bad in the last couple of years, would he be happy just making the playoffs?
I mean, no, coaches are a different breed, right? He would want, but as an organisation, as a fan base, you would say that's a tick of success.
He wouldn't be happy, but he'd be satisfied when he looks back on it. Now, who do you trust more, Brisbane or Cairns? Like, when we're talking about this fight for 6th, who do you trust more?
I'm Cairns. I trust Cairns because Brisbane have had too many games where they let teams come back. Now, Cairns, they're up and down. Yes, they're up and down. They can be very, very good, but then they can come in and be very, very bad. I don't think Brisbane are like that. I think Brisbane are on the way up.
More solid.
A bit more solid, and they're going to be in most games. You understand? They're going to give it a go, and they're going to be in most games.
Yeah.
Cairns can excite you, though. Cairns come in here and beat Melbourne, the best defensive team, and play well, but then the next game they go out and lay an egg.
Yeah.
That's the part that bothers me with the Cairns top end.
That's a good question.
Did
you craft this question?
I
or
did.
Someone hand this
I
to
crafted
you?
it yesterday in the production meeting when I popped in for 15 seconds.
Okay.
I'll tell you this.
That was your one chip in.
I agree with what you're saying. I think that the ceiling of Cairns is higher. In like one-off games, they can do what they do against Melbourne.
Right.
But with Brisbane, they're a bit more solid in the way they play their basketball. I would probably expect that Brisbane in the playoffs would be a team that you wouldn't want to see, even though they are probably a better team over the course of the season, right? Man, Cairns just have to be emotionally and mentally motivated.
Yeah.
Because, Adam Ford rolls on in. He would have rolled in. We spoke about this 3 weeks ago. Walden and Melbourne said, everyone thinks we're going to lose by 50.
Yep.
Let's take them on! Yeah. And they come out and they were brilliant from the start. But then they roll out the next week and it feels like they're just sitting there and goes, oh, yeah, we're good last week.
Yeah.
Let's drink our own bathwater type thing. Now, that sounds really harsh and I'm not saying that's actually, but that's how it looks from the outside in. Cairns can beat anyone in the league and they can lose to anyone in the league and that's not what you want.
Yeah, so they're young. It's a young team. What do you get with young players? No matter how talented they are, you get inconsistency. True. And that's what they have. And he's a fantastic coach and he does great things with young talent. But I think Damon Lowry had the perfect word for them. They're sometimey.
Yeah.
And so they've got the higher ceiling, but they've also got the lower floor. So gun to my head, I got to get it right to save my life. I trust Brisbane.
I'm with you.
They remind me a little bit of a more like Jimmy Valvano's sort of approach, which was let's just make sure that we're in a position to win at the end of the game. And if we're in a position to win, we'll find a way to win.
Do you want to tell us where Modi Moyal's going next year now? Or you'll wait after the break?
Well, I just
after the break then. Hashtag NBL Overtime. Plenty more next. It's NBL Overtime. Leonard Copeland, Liam Santa Maria, Cam Luke, and you, if you want to join the conversation. Hashtag NBL Overtime via all our socials at NBL. Now, Christmas time is here. Do you want to sing or not?
No, sir.
Okay, Christmas wish list time. What does every single team need? So we split it up. Well, to be fair, we split it up into 9 because it's very hard to give Melbourne United everything. Because what did you say yesterday in the meeting? You said,
well, what do you give the person who's got everything?
Perfect. There you go. So let's have a look at the other 9 teams, of which we split it up into 3 groups. So Liam, I think you're first with South East Melbourne Phoenix.
Well, if I could give the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix anything, if I could put something under the tree for them for Christmas, it would be for Abdel Nader to be a star.
Yeah.
That's what they need. They need that to hit in a really big way. Now, he showed some signs the other day in his first hit out.
Nice.
And he certainly showed some things before the knee injury when he was playing in the NBA. Yep. But yeah, my Christmas wish for the Phoenix is for Nader to turn out to be really, really legit.
You've got Tasmania, Copes. What are you giving them?
Tassie. They've lost the last 2 games, haven't they? Mm-hmm. I think they need to go out and have a drink. you know how they're all uptight. They need to go out and smoke a cigar with the coach and have a drink and just have some fun. Come back on the floor and kick butt. Because we know they can do it.
Just to enjoy life a little.
Enjoy life a little.
Enjoy the festive season.
Eggnog, bro. Get your little eggnog, bro. Very good.
Dude, you're supposed to look at the camera, bro, not the screen.
Hey, I got the Sydney Kings, right? I got the Sydney Kings. You know what I want? I want 10,000 people to be there on Christmas night. I'm a firm believer that we should only have one game on NBL, Christmas Day and Christmas night. And the Kings, if they get a huge crowd, will own this for eternity. You get 10,000 there on Christmas night. It's theirs forever as long as they want it.
What did they have last year?
They had about 8,000 there last year, and it's going to continue to grow. So 10,000, even more. Get the joint rolling. I think it's the best place. And they should always play Illawarra. They should always play Illawarra. I think that we need to geographically have the 2 teams in the same state. I know it sucks for a lot of the teams, but I think that's the best way to go about it going forward. So big crowd for the Kings. Talking Illawarra, what are you delivering them?
All the Hawks need is a ribbon and bow to wrap around Justin Tatum because he is their,
how nice is that?
He is their Christmas gift. It's sitting right there under their nose. They got given their gift early this year.
Yeah, do not sign that contract.
That's not bad, bro. That's pretty good. That was a good one.
Right.
His cash is going up as the team
Always
continues
going
to
up.
play better as well, so you don't want to go too early.
You don't need extra cash. You got plenty of cash.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Son's got plenty of cash.
Tell you what.
My son had cash. I'd have cash.
The 36ers need something. What do you got for them?
The 36ers need boxing gloves. They need to fight. They need to have an in-squad punch up, go at it, then kumbaya afterwards, hold hands, be friends, and come in and kick butt against the other teams. It happens. You got to remember, back in our day, there were fights all the time.
Lindsay never gave you guys boxing gloves.
No, we didn't have boxing gloves.
Nah,
they need boxing gloves these days.
Bare-knuckled him and Gazy. You should have seen it. It was to the death.
I was there. They were chilling.
There's nothing wrong with having a little rumble in the jungle to fire you up. You seen McCarron go off with and
more of that.
They played better.
Yeah.
A little bit more than that. You know.
I got Perth, and I want to see the Cairns Keanu Pinder. Now, I'm not a stats guy, right? So someone may even text me right now and say, he's got the same stats. This isn't the same Keanu Pinder. Now, it's going to be different. When you got Bryce Cotton, you've got to play a little bit different. But his energy, the energy we've seen from Keanu Pinder the last 2 years at Cairns when he turned into a star and an all-NBL player, we're not seeing it at both ends of the court. So I want to see the Cairns version of Keanu Pinder. I spoke about the help earlier in the day. When it comes to the Wildcats, he needs to stand up. He's got a big couple of months.
I like it. All right, let me talk about the Taipans.
Hit me.
So for Christmas in far north Queensland, they don't need anything special because we just need them to be a little more solid, the Taipans.
Yep.
So they just need socks and jocks.
Yeah, okay.
Socks and jocks for the Snakes.
Sounds a comedian.
Do you know what I'm saying? They've got all the fancy clothes. Some days they bring them out and they look spectacular, and other days they try something and it doesn't look quite so good.
Yeah.
But what they just need are the essentials that you rock with on a day-to-day basis.
Nice.
Hey, a big shout out to everybody in Cairns, of course. Been doing it tough over the last week or so. So shout out to you. The Bullets.
The Bullets need a handyman. A handyman who can build defense.
Okay. So you're bringing defensive import stopper in.
They need somebody that can play some defense, brother, and lead them to the promised land.
Okay.
Play some defense, the offense will work. You'll be fine.
Well, hold on.
You got 20 seconds.
They can get to the promised land?
Well, the promised land meaning the playoffs.
Okay.
Please, Copes, promised land. It's not the playoffs.
Well, that is for them. They haven't made the playoffs in 3 years.
Now, Copes wanted me to say about the Breakers they need a new coach, but I'm not certain. They just need a little bit of luck. We know what they had to go through in the COVID situation, and we love you for it. And last year they got luck, and they were so great, so close to a title. A little bit of luck. Cheatham, McDowell White, we want you back on the court, and we see the real New Zealand Breakers, not the one that's...
And Moni, we love you too.
There we go.
Yeah.
Plenty more on the other side of this.
Silver bells. Hey, it's Christmas, fellas. Santa's watching. Santa's on the floor.
Mate, that's when DJ Mitchell hurt his hip.
Yeah, he's high-fiving all the players. Then he goes past the kids.
You dunked on.
Nothing.
Oh, come on, Santa.
Oh, no.
Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Security comes. The guy comes over and
Mate,
says,
that's
Santa,
shocking.
you want
And
to
then
take
he
the
stopped near the female.
Hey, what's going on here with Bull Qual, fellas? Does he think he's the Hulk?
If you're going to rip it, you've got to be able to have the strength to get it all off.
And then, what did you make of this, Copes?
Well,
the fan.
He needed some help, bro. Somebody had to go
I
help
agree.
him.
Someone got to help him?
Somebody's got to help him.
Come on, man.
He's in
Stay in your
pain.
seat, big fella.
He's in pain. Was he a doctor or wasn't he?
He's a physio.
Tristan's coming over. He's running over, and he arrives on the scene in a moment. 3, 2, 1, and he says, "I got this, big fella."
I don't need your help now. I got it.
He actually took a little while to get there, didn't he? He said, "I got it. Get out of my way."
So it's funny that my Christmas wish list was a stinger for yes or no. So clearly Santa is the guy from the Brisbane Bullets. Well, we'll start with that question because I'll ask you straight away. Did the front row physio do anything wrong?
Yes.
Would an all-NBL import team from this year take a game off the Boomers in a 3-game series?
Yes.
Will the Hawks finish top 6?
No.
Should we bring in a defensive 3-second rule?
No.
No? Carmen Malawatch is the name on everyone's lips. If you get him and he's a next star, will he average 10 points a game?
When he gets him, not if he's going to get it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Next year, when he is playing in this league, will he average 10 points a game?
Yes.
Hey, the South East Melbourne Phoenix, they need a bit of good news and a bit of excitement into their pre-season. Should they invite Nick Kyrgios to do a pre-season? One of their owners with South East Melbourne Phoenix.
They should invite Nick Kyrgios to play on the team right now.
Come on, man.
Come on.
I tell you what, they need some help. I'm not sure Nick Kyrgios will be their main guy.
They're going to be crowd, won't they?
But I don't think they'd be... He desperately... if they rang him, Tommy Greer rang Nick Kyrgios and said, "Hey, you right?" He's like, "Man, I'm in.
Oh,
Forget tennis, I'm in. I'm dedicated." On that note...
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everybody. See you in a couple of weeks.